Monday, February the 8th. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Stevens.
Here.
Trustee Myers.
Here.
Trustee Compton.
Here.
Trustee Landwehr.
Here.
Trustee Swenson.
Here.
Trustee Walschlager. Here. President Lamoran.
Here. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Swenson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on tonight's agenda is citizen participation. If there are any citizens that would like to address the board on matters that are not on tonight's agenda. Since there are none, we'll move on to consideration of a motion to approve the village board minutes of the January 25th meeting.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as submitted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Next item is consideration of a motion to approve the vouchers for payment in the amount of $291,551.24.
I move we pay the bills for $291,551.24.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the vouchers for payment as submitted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Now we have actions that are related to licenses and permits, and we have a bartender operator license for David Labs. The police chief and the village clerk recommend approval. The applicant has successfully completed the responsible beverage service course.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. The next item is a street use permit for large-scale events. The event is going to be called the Glow Run, to be held on May 14th from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. This is from the North Shore Middle School. Is going to conduct this 5K race. The police chief and fire chief and public works recommends approval.
It's at night,
Yes.
and they're going to be glowing with glow paint or glow shirts or glow sticks.
Right.
In Hartridge, one of the, that's always busy on the weekends. That's a little scary sometimes if they don't have enough help on the.
Are we going to have the police helping with the roads, or?
Yes.
Yes, they will be staffing. Okay.
Yeah, they will staff the event and work with the event organizers to make sure that we have adequate personnel out there.
Are we paying to have extra employees out there to help?
I don't know if the chief is planning on bringing in additional staff. He may be, but I know that the department and Public Works have both had contact with the organizers of the event and have talked about the specifics because I know as a staff we were a little concerned about the things that you've brought up, the activities in that subdivision and the fact that we're talking about a nighttime event. I think the staff is satisfied that they'll have enough delineators out there, both human and man-made, if you will, delineators to mark the course and keep an adequate separation from what vehicle traffic there is.
So we've got 3 officers out there. that's
And
gonna
most of the
that
run
with
will
them.
be on sidewalks.
Okay, so if it snows, we've got to make sure, it may not snow,
On May the
right?
14th?
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't snow.
Yes.
If it doesn't
It
snow.
has
If it
before.
does, we're closing shop.
Yeah, just my only concern is that night stuff, you know, and,
Yeah.
I mean, the way everybody, I mean, look at how people dress in all black and that stuff, you know, it's just hard to imagine them running around the.
Well, and all the
Hartridge.
sidewalks, you got to cross streets every, what?
Right, and they're going to have guards crossing people there.
We just don't want somebody to get hurt.
It's really no different than some of the other runs that we have throughout the village.
Except they're at night.
Yeah.
I move
we
to
approve
approve the
the
street
glow
use
run.
permit.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the street use permit. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. The next item is consideration of adoption on the third reading, Bill for Ordinance 111-2016-01, an ordinance to amend Chapter 14 of the Village of Hartland Municipal Code pertaining to animals.
Yeah, what point of like rescue animals or whatever, at what point are people required to get licensed?
When they're over a certain amount of time.
What time are they supposed to get their permit for the animal? I mean, if they're licensing it themselves?
Well, if it's a rescue, I mean, you're gonna have, let's say you have a couple dogs, okay, then you get a third one, and then.
Are you,
We don't have
are
to-
these animals that you're gonna own? Or are they the fostering
Foster.
situation?
Foster homes.
If they're in the foster situation, we've amended the code so that they can, essentially, the intent is that they're only there with them for a short period of time. If you happen to foster an animal for more than the 5 months, we might have an issue and we might be looking for you to license the animal.
So about 5
I
months.
think, based on some of the conversation we had, I think that our understanding of the fostering arrangements was that the animal was owned essentially by the shelter.
Yes.
And the shelter would be responsible, we think, for any licensing that would be required.
They actually own the dogs. We, as foster homes, don't do anything without their approval.
Right. And so I think our expectation would be, as a staff, that the fostering agency would be the owner of the animal and would handle the licensing requirements. And of course, these would generally be adult, if you will, animals, not less than.
Right, I think
5
one of the
months
other
that we have.
questions Mike was getting at was, is there a limit to how many foster, say, I'm with Golden Retriever Rescue, is there a limit to how many I can have in a month?
Well, the bigger question is how many can you have at a time right now? And what the code has done here, the net effect of the changes that we're making is that that we're proposing rather, is that the regulation doesn't change as to how many you can have. So let's use dogs, continue to use dogs as the example. The regulation doesn't change in that regard. So you're technically allowed to have 2 dogs. They could be your own and a foster, they could be 2 fosters, whatever the case may be. If you're going to have more than that, what we've created here is a scenario where we want you to come in and get a permit. Corinne, who was here last time, has, right, that's her name. She has all the dogs. We would want her to come in and get a permit to have 4, or whatever the number is.
The most I've seen her have is 5.
Or 5, whatever the case may be, to have the 5 animals. The other piece of this is the time frame, and what we've tried to do is set up sort of a sliding scale, a sliding time frame, so that in a 12-month period, we would allow you to have, without registering or without permitting, 5 months of foster animals. That could be, like I said, 1, that could be 5, that could be 10, that you only had for a couple of weeks. And because I think the normal relationship is anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks unless there's some other issue. And so what we've sort of set up is a scenario where you could do that, rotate the animals in and out for up to a 5-month period. And then if, again, you were going to do more than that, the intent was that you would, more than that and more than the time frame, the intent would be that you would come in and register that with us so that we know. It's that whole permit concept so that we know what's going on, but at the same time allowing people some flexibility to try and
So
not
if she's
be
doing this
illegal.
year-round, she always has 4 or 5 dogs.
And we would want her to come in and register that fact.
Okay.
And say, look, I'm going to have all these animals. Because I think what we get into is, if there's going to be that many animals in the house all the time, maybe we're going to want to know that she's got the facilities for that. I don't know what we're going to want to know, but I think that's some of the things that we're going to want to ensure. That she has the ability to take them out and get them exercise, and that she has the ability to maintain them for health and sanitation and all of those kinds of things. In the same way that we talk about when we permit other animals beyond what you're allowed in the code, when we permit chickens or when we permit pigeons and some of the other things that we've permitted lately. We talk about those kinds of things. Where are you going to house them? How will they get exercise? How will you make sure that they're, cleaned up after? How we protect your neighbors and your neighborhood?
Then
So
who picks them up in 5 months? How do we know?
Yeah.
We don't. In other words, the neighbor, if she don't like the dogs, then they complain or.
You're right. Frequently, that's how we find out about things when something goes wrong. But it does give the opportunity for that individual who is conscientious and paying attention to the code, the opportunity to come in and legitimize their activity.
Because this is a good ordinance, because we've tried this several times for years, and we really gotten hot water with it. Because
Yeah, it can be. I mean, people love their pets, and people like to have a lot sometimes. And I think what we've done here is establish a number and then say, but you can go above that. Just come and tell us. That's really what it boils down to. There's no fee for the permit. You make an application, you come in, satisfy the 7 of you that the individual can handle this.
So if I have 2 dogs and if I wanted to add a third, I could just come in and say, hey, I'd like to have another dog.
Right.
Okay.
And
They're expensive.
No, we're talking about dogs.
I know it.
you gotta
I
have,
just spent $400 on mine.
you gotta have good neighbors.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
true.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I won't do anything.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt bill for ordinance 1/11/2016-01, an ordinance to amend chapter 14 of the Village of Hartland Municipal Code pertaining to animals. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. The next item is related to the proposed warehouse addition to Holt Electric for the property located at 1515 Walnut Ridge Drive.
thank you. This is in addition to the existing facility there. It's really the first of 2 that the Plan Commission considered. The addition here that they're talking about is just under 20,000 square feet. Plan Commission has reviewed and approved. There is a stormwater management plan in place. The Plan Commission reviewed parking requirements, and those are met. Ended up that the Plan Commission recommended approval of the project, subject to the final approval of the village engineer, and that has been achieved. There is a representative of the project here tonight. If anybody does have questions regarding that.
It goes right up to the house. Is there right up to the house, and did they go another one, or that lot?
Oh, to the south?
Yeah.
They continue that south property line heading straight east is where this addition goes. That area of the parcel, if I recall correctly, is currently paved, and that's what they're using, part of that paved area. It doesn't encroach any closer to the house, as you say, that's to the south.
Any other questions?
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the site and building plans.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the site and building plans for the addition at Holt Electric at 1515 Walnut Ridge Drive. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Now, along with that, now that we've given them their approval to build, we need to approve the certified survey map.
Right, which combines the 2 parcels they own into one.
Also move that we approve the motion of certified
Second.
survey map.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the certified survey map. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. The next item is consideration of a motion to approve the water and sewer utility SCADA system upgrade project, including agreements with Rupert Milky and Wonderware Midwest of Brookfield for installation, programming, and software licensing, as well as 2.5% contingency and the purchase of a computer in the amount of $35,000.
Good evening. As part of the 2016 budget, the village board approved $35,000 in the capital improvements plan for the allocation for these purchases. As was detailed out in the item, we have 3 phases: a new computer, new software, and programming of that computer. The SCADA system is very important to the operation of the water and sewer system as it monitors the level of water in the towers. It automatically starts and stops the pumps at the well houses. It monitors alarms and provides staff notification through Waukesha County Dispatch, and it compiles data for us for a database so we can easily respond to the DNR and PSC reports. There's been 2 previous updates of the Wonderware software that the village has not allocated to purchase, but this third one really helps the staff with the software for the data for the reporting. So that's why we're recommending that this software be approved.
Also move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the sewer and water utility SCADA system upgrade. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. The next item is consideration of a motion to approve an agreement with Visu Sewer Clean and Seal, Inc. of Pewaukee for the 2016 sewer cleaning and televising in the estimated annual amount of $28,600.
Every year for maintenance of our sewer collection system, we clean a third of our sewers and we televise approximately 5 to 6% of the sewers in advance of our paving project. Staff contacted 3 companies and received proposals for the cleaning and televising services, and Visu Sewer was by far the lowest of those 3. Visu Sewer has kept the same price for the last 3 years, except for this year, they increased their cleaning costs by only 4.8%. Based on the other proposals that we received, we're recommending that Visu Sewer be awarded this service.
Also move that we approve visual service.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agreement with Visu Sewer Clean and Seal for the 2016 sewer cleaning and televising for 2016. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Now, that's an X-rated film, right?
What's a dirty film?
Yeah,
It's a dirty film.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, the next item is consideration of a motion to approve a contract with Midwest Meter of Jackson for the purchase of approximately 515 water meters in the estimated amount of $105,000.
To make sure that the village accurately bills our water users for the water that they're used, the PSC has required that we change out the meters that people have on a regular basis based on the size. So a residential water meter would be changed out every 10 years. Now, in the past, water meters contained a slight amount of lead, less than 6%. The new EPA regulations require no more than 0.5%. So when we change out the meters, instead of rebuilding them and cleaning them up and putting them on the shelf, we're going to have to scrap that, get some value for the scrap, and then buy brand new meters that are the new no lead kind. In addition, we also changed the radio module that allows us to do remote reads of the water meters. Because we have an extended amount of meters this year and we have new residences being built, that's why you see such a high cost involved with this year's program compared to previous ones. We had $53,000 budgeted in the water utility, and we're anticipating we'll have savings in other amounts, or we'd have to end up going over on this line item. Badger Meter, who's been our longtime supplier, has doled out district territories to a number of companies, and Midwest Meter is the holder of the territory that covers Hartland.
So out of all these, most of them are going for the new, what percentage are going for the new installation?
Right, about 30 are going to go to the new, and 485 will go to replacements.
So how long is that gonna take?
It'll take us the whole year to go through all these.
Will we be having a similar expense next year?
Next year, it should be a little bit under. We haven't finalized up the total. We had 10 years ago a number of properties that had a large number of units, like apartment buildings. So we had a number of extra meters. Typically, we have about 3,300 users, so 10% per year is about 330. So you can see we're a little bit higher than average for this year.
So the guy in the public service owns stock in the water meter company, yeah?
So, as I understand it, we don't have a choice in who does this, it's there and that's who we use?
That's the meter that the village has settled on.
Okay.
So to maintain the consistency with the system and have it compatible with our existing system, we have to use this type of
Midwest,
system.
okay.
But
Right.
village staff actually does the installation.
Right, but I'm just saying the
Okay.
proposal from Midwest Meter is the one that we have to use.
Yep, it's,
Right.
Yeah.
right, and it's simply the acquisition of the meter.
Okay.
The change out
Right,
is actually
right.
done by staff. Just want to
Right.
make sure we were
Okay.
clear on that.
Do we have
Is
a
there,
motion?
is there a
No.
specific part in there that's causing a lead problem?
The whole unit is made of brass, And in order to make the brass more workable, they add a little bit of lead to make it more malleable. So the whole casing of the meter system has to be replaced.
It's not that they're not working currently, correct?
No.
It's just that they're,
We have to check the accuracy every 10 years. So
Okay.
that's why the PSC says that we have to take the meter out, test it to make sure it's working. And that's when we would change out the housing.
so even though it's still working okay, we have to scrap it?
No, we would test it. If the meter itself is working, then we will just put that back into stock, change the batteries. The housing that the meter sits in, that brass assembly has to be scrapped
Okay,
out.
all right.
I move that we approve the purchase.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the contract with Midwest Meter of Jackson for the purchase of approximately 515 meters in the estimated amount of $105,000. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Next item are announcements. We have a group of scouts that are attending their first village board meeting. And hopefully one of them will grow up to run, or maybe more, run for public office here in the village. Hopefully it was entertaining and educational for you. The other part is we have an election coming up, and that is it's a primary, and it's going to happen on February the 16th. It's a Tuesday. And the polls open at 7 a.m. and go until 8 p.m. All voting will be held here at the Village Hall. Anything else?
Don't complain if you don't vote.
Exactly. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. I want to thank you for coming tonight and for tuning in. And please tune in again on Monday, the 22nd of February for the next regularly scheduled village board meeting.